Welcome to the lighter side of the spectrum, the podcast that celebrates the multiple hats we wear and the juggling acts we perform in life. Whether you're parenting kids and teens on the autism spectrum, navigating the ever-evolving healthcare industry, or building a more inclusive and impactful world, this is your space to find connection, inspiration, and growth. Together, we'll share stories, tackle challenges, and explore how innovation and inclusion create better outcomes for everyone. Because no matter the spectrum, there's always a lighter side. Now here's your host, David Kaufer.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the lighter side of the spectrum, where we celebrate the voices, breakthroughs, and stories that often go unheard in the autism world. And today, I am thrilled to welcome Manisha Lad, Executive Director of the Akhil Autism Foundation and the visionary behind the Sensory Pathway Center in New Jersey. Manisha, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, David, for giving this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad we had a chance to connect. So I just want to do a little bit more of an intro for everyone, just to get an idea. We're going to explore the groundbreaking nonprofit that you're leading, how you're integrating neuroscience, digital tools, and whole person care to transform the lives of autistic individuals and their families, from sensory gyms to hydroponic gardening, which I want to get into. That sounds super cool. As well as like RPM communication, micro movement, emotional regulation research. This is not your typical therapy center. So for all of you out there, if you're looking for real innovation, parent-driven purpose, and a glimpse into the future of autism support, stay tuned because we've got a lot to cover here. So with all that, Manisha, why don't you kind of take us back and talk about the vision that you had here for the center and the Sensory Pathway Center?
Sure. So first of all, 25 years back, like 1998, when I came to US, I had no such vision or a goal to start a nonprofit and do something for autism. And everything was about me, my career, and my aspiration, my goals, and my IT world. And the life changed. Everything changed when our son, who's 4 years old now, and
he's 24. Okay.
Yeah, he was diagnosed with autism at 18 months. And they didn't give much of a hope. On a single piece of a paper, they told me he might speak late or he might never speak, but he will never live an independent life. And I said, well, you doctors, you don't know everything. My mom's gut is very, very different. And I walked out with that attitude. The first thing, absolutely, we had to accept his autism in a very integrity, with a lot of integrity, just not superficial.
Right.
But long story short, that's how our autism journey started. As he started, I put my entire IT career, I dived into it. And I very quickly learned that my child's life is dependent on therapists,
right,
professionals, and that was very, very scary for me. So I decided to take things in my hand, and I educated myself, attended a lot of workshops, and that's how our behavior therapy or ABA journey started.
Okay.
So you follow the research, just like a good parent, follow the research, fight for those hours, got a team working. And in 1.5 years, Akhil did make some progress, but he plateaued. So then we had to shift from the behavior therapy to biomedical, and then how we dived into sensory motor and how we found new Akhil at the age of 11. And then I finally decided to put everything together in the Sensory Pathway Center, which is still a 3-year-old center, still a baby.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about the integration, and that is such an important piece. It's always interesting for me how similar our paths are as parents and for our kids. Stone, my son's 19.
Right.
So kind of the same general era, right? Like we kind of follow the same general path in terms of you get the diagnosis, it's not so great. The prognosis, is people aren't necessarily super supportive in the healthcare side of things, we'll say.
Yes.
Yeah, so you just kind of start going down that path, and you hear about ABA and you try that, and you hear about speech therapy and you try that, and biomedical, of course. That was the early days of that, and you try that, and there's all these things, and to different degrees, you see different levels of success, or at least, some impact, I'll say, right?
Correct.
But it's really hard because you're kind of doing these. I don't know about you, at least in our case, a lot of it you just kind of have to do in a linear fashion
Yes, we did it in a linear fashion.
because there's
Absolutely.
right. I mean, first of all, there's only so many hours in the day to do various therapies and resources. We only have, certain amount of resources. We don't all have anyway. So it's interesting. And so in your case, though, you've put them all together and figured out here are the different resources we want to put under kind of one roof.
Correct. It's 16 years we did the foundation, for 16 years, bringing a lot of awareness, workshops, and trying my level best. When I, as a nonprofit, would go to a profit center and tell them, "Hey, I want to collaborate, and these are my ideas." I did not see much of interest or collaboration, or because as a nonprofit, people have a myth that a nonprofit means it's a nonprofit. No, but
Right.
a nonprofit has to be run like a for-profit. A nonprofit
Yeah.
doesn't mean
You
it's
still have
free.
expenses, right? Nonprofit
Doesn't mean free.
Yeah.
And so the people who were coming from the business administration, I started literally going and listening to the, networking around, and I saw it was very hard. And of course, our son Akhil was my topmost priority. So as we started doing the biomedical, he started getting better. His immune started getting better. His gut started getting better. His eye contact started getting better. His receptor language was just getting better and better and better, but no expressive.
Right.
One of the OTs and speech actually was not working. In the school, it was not working. And we didn't have a good OT, to be very frank with you. Back then, it was just take the child, you take insurance, and you, for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, put the child on a swing or on a therapy ball, you know? So,
Yeah, I'm nodding along because again, it's so similar. And again, also the mindset, right? Manisha, was that, which is flipped, I'm sure for you as it has for me, that OT now is like huge, right? Like
it's
if I
huge.
could change anything, I would be like, I'd have Stone doing 8 hours of OT or whatever, versus like
Absolutely.
throw
Absolutely.
out the speech
Correct.
therapy, right? Like we're
Yeah, I mean, like our son would do the prompts. Who would do when the therapist would come and do the prompt, they would say, "Akhil is doing his own prompts," because he had
he
mastered
wanted to.
muscle memory. He had mastered it. She's going to come now and she's going to make me do this. So when she comes, let me start doing this and give her. So she goes.
That's so funny.
That was his goal. That was his goal.
His goal is get rid of her.
So at the age of 7, we started a nonprofit with a focus for India. We said, oh, there's not much of awareness in India. And we got our first doctor trained from India as a Dan doctor. We sponsored him to India, from India to US. He attended the conference. He met a couple of doctors. He went back, and I'm very thankful to him. He is till now, we have touched more than 1,000 families for them to get started on the MB12 shots.
That is awesome. Now, again, for those listeners, for those who may not be familiar, can you talk about what is a Dan doctor?
Yeah, back then it was like a Defeat Autism Now doctor. And again, very thankful to late Bernie Rimland and the whole Autism Research Institute team. But then when he passed away, they changed the whole protocol, and now it's called as a MAPS, Medical Academy Pediatric Society. So that was a place where we all moms and parents, we were on the Google groups, and
I remember Yahoo group. I think
Yahoo groups, Google groups,
right.
and what this doctor doing, what this doctor doing. It is an opportunity to meet all the doctors, researchers, parents, and educate yourself. So that happened till 11 years of our life.
Okay.
And he was in a school where it was pure ABA, surrounded by the best ABA, BAs and the best ABA school. And they at the age of 11, he told, he doesn't know his colors, numbers. And they stopped all his academic programs. They started teaching him daily livings, and they miserably failed.
Yeah, of course.
And they failed him.
Yeah. They failed. Yeah.
They failed him, and they said, "Oh, this is what kids do," and eventually they go into a group home. I said, "No, my son is not going to go in a group home. If he goes in a group home, I go along with him in the
Right. You'll be in the group, right?
this is not how it's going to happen." So we pulled him out, and with not much of a hope, we put him into a DIR float time school. And I said, "Okay, now change the focus. Like now, like the kids have emotions, and I wanted to look into letterboard communication." And they said, "No, it doesn't work. The previous school told me, the ABA school, no, it doesn't work." So I never looked into it. By that time, Akhil was like, I think, expressively, he was comprehending everything, but then his behaviors little bit started because he was not able to express. The frustration started, and we looked into seizures, we ruled out seizures, and we went all the way to Boston and saw one of the researchers who would take the individuals who had abnormal EEGs. To see him, you had to have at least one abnormal EEG.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
he would take these individuals and research them more to see how is the brain activity. And we thought, Akhil can be a candidate to get him into the research. And 5 days they will study him. And that didn't work out. They said, no, he's not a candidate. He's a classic example of a regressive autism. And they did his auditory evoked potentials. That they put 360 electrodes to on his head, and they said that he might be the smartest child in the classroom.
Interesting.
It was a winter season, and my Akhil was like maybe 10, 11 years old with a nice coat and everything. And he's like taking a pen, paper, and running all over the room and proving the doctor, yes, I am the classic case of autistic.
Right.
Because he said, if I have to show somebody as an example of autism, I will show him. He can take
I love it.
information, and he can take all the information and from his ear and from ear auditory and decode it and at a cortex level, but the returning is slow.
Right. The motor, right? Kind of basically.
But he had no explanation he had no answer what to do. And we coming in a like Boston train, and I'm like to tears and crying. Like we went all the way to Harvard, and I was hoping I will get some answers. So that's mainstream, all empty box.
Yeah.
For me, the mainstream is empty box. And I said, okay, empty box. So I was literally into tears. And then I sent him to school, and I had no idea school had something called a supported typing.
Okay.
So that's how our journey started. He goes for the first session, and with little bit of support, he types 4 lines.
Oh, so he typed. Like he expressed.
A little bit of support. He'd expressed through 4
He expressed 4 lines. It wasn't, right. Okay.
Yeah, not completely independent. So they called me. They said, I think, we have 40 kids typing, and I think he will be benefited from this. I said, no, but he doesn't know his colors and numbers and letters.
Right.
That's what been told to me.
That's what been told, right?
I said, no, you come. So I went and checked, and I said, okay, I was not sure. Like, no, it was a flip directly. Like suddenly my child is doing everything. How come? I spoke with some of the families, and they were not very excited. And that's how it started. And in 2 months' time, I and Akhil, we clicked, and Akhil started expressing a lot about his inner world.
So through typing.
Yes, through supported typing.
Supported typing.
School was constantly talking about mind and body disconnect and reflexes, and they have motor issues. But I was not learning anything new from it. What to do about it?
Right. Yeah.
And he understands everything. Now what? But he cannot use motor defects. And then Akhil started making statements that I cannot see my body in my mind.
Interesting. Wow, you hear about that? Yeah. That's where the support is so necessary, right? I mean, like it makes sense.
And then I dived into reflex integration, and then the whole reflex integration journey started. And then we brought in a lot of awareness. We attended a lot of camps of reflex integration.
Okay.
And we did a lot of RPM workshops. And once we got a good handle of the reflexes, and he started getting much more into his body, he started realizing I have hands and fingers, and they move, and all his perception started breaking. Till I think we have done 9 camps, very intense camps of reflexes. And I and my husband, we religiously worked on his body for 2.5 years with those reflexes.
Interesting.
And therefore, he very quickly started becoming an independent typer. And I could see that his mind thoughts and my mind thoughts were all very always constant. But some of the things which he would write, I would never think.
Right. Clearly independent. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I would
yeah.
not think like that. Example, if somebody like we are teaching about living cells and non-living cells, and there's a question why the cell is living. And he types with me saying the energy in the cell is living. That's why cell is living.
Right.
So all those things are very fascinating to me that I don't think like that. And then the long story short, at the age of 19, he got accepted into college.
That's amazing. That's so great.
And
And I
now
mean,
he has finished 62 hours of college education.
fantastic. And he's such a great success story in
He
so
is.
many ways, but so are you, right? And you've obviously poured your heart and soul, you and your husband, into this. I mean, it's taken
Yes.
an extraordinary level of work,
Yes.
which is just so inspiring. And it's
Mhm.
also kind of unfortunate in the sense, because again, we've done the same, that this is what it takes, right? To get
Exactly. This is what
them
it
there. So
takes.
this is what you're helping with though, like, right?
Yes. Yes. Now we took all that together and we put into our sensory pathway center. And it's been next February will be 3 years just with signing the lease. We have to renew the lease next February, actually. It's been
Okay.
3 years. We're serving 25 to 30 individuals. We have a team of OT who go through rigorous training of reflex integration. We hit the reflexes through the level laser through photomodulation. We do rapid prompting method, and we have a small hydroponic farm unit in our center where they grow microgreens. They are learning.
Yeah.
I have a whole rack of microgreens. And for the whole year, we have been donating to the food pantry. And now we are taking steps towards how can we pack them and sell them.
How did that come about? That jumped out at me. You were so kind. You sent me all the information, and checking it out, and it just blew me away. And obviously, this is part of the plan to get the word out, because I think it's just such an incredible model. But talk about, the neurodiverse gardening program.
Yes, because the employment, if you see the employment right now for the individuals, first of all, a lot of the non-speaking individuals are really underestimated. They really,
Totally.
right? And
Yeah.
now they have a lot of sensory motor issues and aggression, and they're on medication, and
Yeah.
they don't have much kind of job skills.
Right.
So we actually did a small research with Rutgers. We funded that research, and we did a small horticulture research. And I'm waiting for the paper to come out, but it was to test the stress levels and the cortisol
Yes.
levels when they are doing the gardening.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yes. So we actually talked to Dr. Torres and went over some of those preliminary results, talking about, stress levels and the impact. I want to
Yes.
get into that, which I think is fabulous, right? Now
Yes.
we're getting some real data.
Yes, and
That's
so
going
I
to be
said, why
useful.
not have that? So it was like a small vacation during Poconos, and I was driving, and I know a thought came into my mind, like, how about can we start looking into hydroponic? Who has this hydroponic farms? I don't know how that came into my mind.
I'm laughing because it sounds pretty random, right? For this thought to kind of
Yeah. So I
right.
said, what to do. And I come from an IT background. Maybe I can be the IT consultant, aid for my son, and we can take IT projects. But the typing independently and the logic, and he's a very analytical thinker. I said, okay, that's not working. What to do? And it was all. And then suddenly I found somebody who has this hydroponic farm. I went and visited him. We didn't have a center that time. We didn't have a place that time.
Okay.
But I was in touch with him. Like,
You just
okay, and 3 times I took my board members to and showed them this is what it looks like, and even those still had idea like what's cooking in my mind. And now after the center was formed, I finally had a place. We put a small hydroponic unit, and he comes and he maintains it, and our kids learn all the harvesting, seedling, propagating, checking the pH level, and harvesting and packing. And we have now a neurodiverse gardeners, and we write every individual's name from Dean's garden, from XYZ garden, from his garden. And that's how now we want to make this as a business.
I love it. I think
Yeah,
that's just, I
400
think,
plus microgreens. We harvest 400 plus microgreens every 3 to 4 weeks, and I donate a whole pack to the food fund pantry.
which is wonderful
This
as
can
well.
become a very meaningful business, and the kids really can literally, if you have a big house or even, I think I would love to come up with a business model where they can be the own CEOs of their farm and they can hire a neurotypical to run a farm.
Right. Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I
I
was
would
just saying,
love to have that. You don't need to go and work for somebody. You can hire somebody to work for you.
right, right. Let's flip the script. I mean,
Yeah.
let's do it because you know that they're brilliant enough to be able
Yeah.
to take care of the other aspects that go into
And-
managing,
Yeah, and
right?
that
I
can
mean,
be
they're
a
so
meaningful
smart.
income for them.
Absolutely. Well, and scalable, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
something that can scale, fairly easy. Again, from a thinking
They
about it purely
have,
from a business standpoint.
yeah, they can bring more to the table other than just packing pizza boxes or cleaning wires or making solar panels or making something and making I'm not underestimating any of that. I'm not underestimating, but I think they get bored after some time because their inner soul is constantly telling them, I can do more.
100%. 100%. Again, I'm nodding because that's exactly right. It's not to demean that level of work because again,
Correct.
you need, those are jobs,
Yes.
those are good jobs. They're
Good
not
jobs.
careers though.
Yes.
They don't necessarily tap the potential that we know so many of these individuals have. And that's one of the things that I've talked about in terms of our journey with Stone was again, he was in that type of what do they call it, life skills type
Yeah.
of a program, right? Where he was spent half of his day in academic, quote, air quotes, academic classroom setting, and the other half in the work and this work
Vocational.
vocational type of job, where they were helping to build like little bird houses or stack boxes and sell coffee and things like that, which again, yeah, I was glad that there was at least that effort to get
Yes.
force the students who do need that pathway. But it's a fairly limited vision, right? Like it's
It's
very
very limited vision. Like, and we are now deciding their career. Whole life we decided. We are telling them how to sit nicely, how to talk, how to
right.
write. We are constantly demanding, and as soon we have become a controller of their life, they're going to push back.
Yeah, and I'm curious, kind of along those lines, one of the things that I've learned, and again, talking to Stone, is we have a lot to unwind when it comes to those types of behaviors, whether it's ABA fatigue. It's kind of like, we have to like deprogram, I think, a lot of what
Yeah.
unfortunately has just been hammered into our kids' heads. Basically they learn how to be compliant is what and that's and compliance kind of kept you out of trouble, right? And it's kind of like a prisoner. You think about it, it's awful.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it took 16 years for me to learn. It's not about my child anymore. It's about me.
Right.
He transformed me, and today he keeps on transforming me. If I am here today, sitting here, and when he is, oh, happy, oh, my mom is not here now, I can have my own time, listen to music, and no. But the moment I go there, he will be taking my bag, he will open the laptop, he will connect it, and at least for 15 minutes, he wants to sit down with me and study.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know?
Has it been, I'm just curious, has Akhil had to learn how to initiate? Again, that's something else within our community. Initiate behavior or communication. Is that something that had to come over time, or is that something that he's?
So as we worked on his reflexes, Akhil has evolved from saying or typing, I cannot see my body in my mind.
Yeah.
Then he started saying, "Oh, I have a body and that moves, and I have to tell my mind what to do." So we started talking to his mind. If he's not listening, if he's not getting
Mm,
ready, Akhil, tell your mind you have to go to shower. Akhil, tell your mind to get ready. So we would talk to his mind.
interesting. I like that strategy. I
Then
think
he
that's really
started
smart.
telling, oh, body can also learn and tell the mind what to do.
Right.
Then he realized that one day he was having a meltdown and tantrum, and I said, Akhil, what happened? Why are you crying? So he said that I should not go into the other mind.
Yeah.
Mind is very good, but I should not go into the other mind. So whenever he's not, he would have a meltdown or a tantrum. We would tell Akhil not to go into other mind. Akhil, don't go into the other mind. So we would take his words, and now he doesn't
And use those
talk
words.
about the mind because stress in mind and body is now getting integrated. So that emotional regulation, because he says, I know the what the other person wants me to do. I also want to do, but my inner
Right.
mind tells me no.
Interesting.
So he was
Yeah.
not getting the control over his inner mind, which is now getting.
And what
Initiation is happening.
what would you attribute that to? Is it just, again, just continuous practice and just all of
Not working on the muscle memory, and that's where Dr. Torres' work comes into picture. That we started with the reflex integration created by Dr. Satlana Maskitava, the MNRI method, which takes the sensory and it takes the motor and connects, and the automaticity of the brain happens. If your reflexes are integrated, then then you don't have to work on the muscle memory. Automatically, things will happen. So that's what we dived into. And then we hit a roadblock there also, because some of his reflexes were not integrating, no matter what we were doing and doing, were not integrated.
Yeah.
So we looked into photomodulation, and we started doing another modality of hitting those reflexes with an energy. That's another protocol, that's another protocol. And we could see that that's where the photomodulation started hitting to the mitochondria, and that initiation started happening. And with few of the reflexes which affect your anxiety and your fight and flight started getting better.
So talk about what is I'm not as familiar with that, or
It's called as a quantum reflex integration.
okay.
So the person who created this has a tremendous background of MNRI reflex integration. And what she decided to do, she understood that there is an energy field. When the sensory system is connected to the other world, it's like a spiritual world. There's a lot of
Okay. Yeah.
energy. There's a lot of
Yeah.
energy. Right?
Energy driven. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she took that, she created a laser, she put a crystal in it, and she put some
Oh,
sound, she put some frequency, and
okay.
she came up with the whole protocol. And I started doing that with Akhil at our center through under a guidance. And after 2 sessions, one day I just took home Akhil, and from many years the cleaning ladies are coming to my house to clean every week, and he just goes and he just going and giving them a high five. And I said, oh, where is this coming from? You never even acknowledged them, and now going and giving them a high five. So he started taking interest in people around him. And now I see that now he's getting much conscious of what he's doing, what is happening, whether he's upset, and he's, why
That's
he's upset.
fabulous.
So that consciousness, and that's where the whole telepathy tapes telepathy thing came into picture when he started typing in 2011. 2015, I came from an India trip, and I saw a video of Dr. Diane Powell and Dr. Deepak Chopra. And Dr. Diane Powell was talking to Dr. Deepak and telling these are kids with autism and they read minds. So I sent her a text or a Facebook. I didn't even have a phone number. I sent her a text and said, what you're telling, my son is doing that, and I would love Dr. Deepak Chopra to meet our Akhil. And she said, no, he's very busy. And I said, no worries. But she came to our house. She did some testing, and she took that data. And after 2 years, Dr. Deepak Chopra said, I want to meet Akhil.
Oh, okay.
So
this is great to get the backstory, because I wanted to ask about that, obviously.
Yeah. So he was very curious. Said, I want to see this in person. If it's really happening, I want to see. So he and his chief scientist and his whole team, and they all came, they filmed, and they did all the filming, and they recorded, and they went on Facebook Live, and they saw that because of the reflexes, Akhil started typing independently very quickly. We didn't
That's
have to go
huge.
through the muscle memory,
Yeah, that's huge.
right? Because
Yeah.
now he had more control of the hand and the fingers, but he was still typing with one finger. So
Right.
now we have come to the point that his subconscious mind is getting much more into the body, like he's getting more into the body. The timing
Yeah.
is getting better, the output timing is getting better. And now we managed to open up all his fingers for typing.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so he's progressed to that.
So he can. So when just to be clear from kind of a definition standpoint, because people have different ideas of when you talk about independent typing or independent communication, does that mean like you're able to put the keyboard or
Yeah.
iPad on a stand with no support, or do you
The whole
still?
keyboard is down. The keyboard is down, or iPad is down.
Okay.
He's an iPad. He can go on one. He goes with one finger. But now at the keyboard, we have different games, and he's using all of his fingers.
With no support at all, like you
No
don't have to
support,
hold
the
it,
keyboard
right?
is down.
Okay,
The
it's
keyboard
truly.
is
I mean, I'm just saying because that's the goal, right? Like
Yeah, and that's
we're on our way towards that as well, which is just incredibly exciting.
and that's where the whole when Dr. Deepak came and we talked about telepathy, I told them, look, you should not use the word telepathy because it looks like telepathy. It's more like shared consciousness.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah, you were the one. I remember that. Yeah, I think you were obviously the one who talked about that in the telepathy tapes, and I thought that
Yes.
was a really interesting way to phrase it.
Yes. I say it looks, or else you have to redefine the word telepathy. The moment you say telepathy, already our kids are not, they are underestimated. They're not believed. Now you say telepathy. So I'm very glad the telepathy tapes thing happened, and the time has come and the shift is happening because now they are trying to bring in that trying to tell that, okay, you guys are telling it is telepathy, and for the skeptics they're trying to tell the support is needed and why this is needed and what the telepathy looks like, or what is a telepathy in this kid's world. They're
Mhm.
basically exploring their mind. What you are telling is a telepathy, and you are telling is, oh, reading the mind is actually a gift.
Yeah.
Can you
Oh,
teach somebody?
absolutely.
Can you teach somebody to read somebody's mind? You cannot teach somebody to read somebody's mind.
No,
It's a gift.
it's yeah, and
Okay,
it's
so we are trying to bring in telepathy tapes, and the way it has hit the viral, it has gone viral, and people are following. I'm glad mothers like us are coming and telling and trying to bring that shift in the people's mind, paradigm shift, and even researchers are interested.
oh sure. I
So
mean,
it's going to it's going to go to the next level.
it's incredible how, and that was going to be one of my questions. We haven't talked a lot about the telepathy tapes here because so many people already are. Like I try and take a different slant, but giving you a role with it, I did want to explore that and say, ask about what kind of impact has it had, obviously, on you, on Akhil, and has there been, any kind of backlash?
Yeah, so yes, skeptics are there, and my stand to this, when he was to do that, they would be very hush about it. I said, I'm not going to be hush about it. Then you're asking me to lie.
Right.
This is happening. Okay. So anybody out there, we as a parent, we have tried everything and it has not worked. Now, if something is working, just because you don't believe,
Right.
you cannot stop me as a mom or as a parent to tell me what to do with my child because you are not with my child 24/7.
No, I mean, if
This
there's,
is working, so I have to go with that.
yeah,
And I have to listen to what my child says. Again, one of the incident, he had a meltdown in the bus and he came out from the bus and he was crying. And when he was calm, I went and spoke with him. Okay, what happened? He said, look, I have to read. You have to teach people how to read minds.
why was that? I mean, did he say why? Just because?
Because he thinks he's saying that the other person, I was trying to tell something to the other person, but the words were not coming out of his mouth.
They were closed.
Other
kind of.
person was not listening. He
Interesting.
says, if you want to communicate with me, I can open my mind, but even you should also open your mind.
Right.
So I
Right.
feel I can't teach people how to read minds, but now I've come to the point that it's happening because all the people are asking me how it happens, what happens, and how is it. We are very tightly connected to the point that I've never told him today I'm going to have a podcast with you. But if I call him now and say who am I talking to, he will tell
Right.
me I'm talking to you.
And that's the part again that people, it sounds hard to believe because it's so hard to believe because it's so outside of most people's experience.
It's
And
a
again,
transformation journey, and it's you have to believe in yourself
yeah,
to believe in what is happening right now.
yeah. One of the things I wanted to share with you,
Yeah.
because again, with the telepathy tapes, the feedback that I got from Stones, of course, we heard about it from another, parent in the community, right? We all,
Correct.
and so Stone and I are sitting there, and so we're listening to it, driving, going to his, he has his spelling practitioner is about an hour, 15 minutes away. So it's perfect time, like to listen
Wow.
to podcasts and everything. And, it was listening one of the early episodes. And I remember, I'm like, I just got to know, what does he think about this? And his feedback to me was, I'm so excited that you're finally learning about my world. Which I was
Wow.
like, whoa. And, he's obviously been excited. We've listened to it all. And I just thought that was just such an interesting, a profound statement that, and he was almost like surprised that like I was really that into it. You know what I mean? Because I think, again, to understand his perspective, he had gone so long kind of in his world where admittedly we haven't been that involved with him. We haven't had that chance to integrate, to
Correct.
communicate. Like we're catching up over the last couple of years and learning, and so for him, he's kind of like, wow, they really care. Like this, I've been living this world and they actually care about this. That's cool. And it is cool.
They shut down on us. They shut down.
And
They
I don't blame
completely
them.
shut down. And it's we call them disabled. I said, no, I am disabled.
Right. Right.
Not you.
Yeah.
It's my
It's
transformation journey. It's not about you anymore. So I'm at peace now, I'm not as a parent, you're always worried about your children. What is going to happen? What is going to
it
happen?
comes with the territory. Right.
Whether you have any kind of diagnosis or you don't have any kind of, that happens with the mother nature. It's what it is. That's what the parents worry, and they. But I said this is the best I can do for my child, and he wanted to actually, when he started typing, he wanted to go and do research for find a cure for diabetes and cancer.
Oh, interesting.
And I asked him why. And I thought in my mind, it must be, oh, my grandmother or my grandfather had diabetes and cancer and blah, blah, blah. He says, no, they both eat the cells.
Interesting. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about one of the common threads I've found as I've met more non-speakers and sat in on weekly Zoom calls and talking to parents, and one of the common threads I've found is that they are all incredibly caring, and they are all and they use such kind and consistent messaging, like
Yeah.
I use it, and it really strikes me. They talk about to a T how much they all want to help other non-speakers, right? Like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
the commitment is there, and how much they all want to be advocates. Like you don't see that again. I don't know. Again, I don't have exposure. I shouldn't say but it just strikes me that there's just this consistency, between them, that like this is our mission. Like this is, and the lack of bitterness and
Oh,
anger,
yeah.
which to me again really it strikes me because I would be so pissed off if I,
Yeah.
to go through what they've been through, like you
Yes.
said, being underestimated, the
Yes.
name calling, all the stuff that it's horrible as a parent to think about. But
Yes.
they're
And
not. They're the opposite. They're gracious.
they're very, very, and uh, he would give wrong answers in his classroom purposely because his friends were not getting it, and they were not able to answer, or they would give wrong answer. and he would knew what's happening. So teachers would tell that Akhil knows stuff, but Akhil purposely gives wrong answers and types, "Can you go and help my friend?"
That's so that's so cool. I mean, that level of empathy is
Yes.
just seems
Yes.
to be so part of their nature and their personalities. It's incredibly inspiring. I mean, I could go on and on in this
Me too,
area.
me too.
Yeah,
I
right.
believe that, like when I started going through the transformation journey, I started going through my spiritual processes. And as my breathing would change, he would just look at me, just give one smile, one laugh, and smile and laugh. And I said, "What is it, Akhil?" And he could feel that my breathing has changed.
Yeah. Was any of this hard for you, Manisha? I mean, again, you said you come from an IT background, so I imagine again that you're talking about, kind of a more traditional scientific, um, you know, background. What was any part of this difficult for you to say? Yeah,
It's very difficult, very challenging. I need to always look for overpowering myself, working on my how to keep myself well, how to keep my happiness. And it's not easy. It's a journey. Always I look for mentors. I go for therapy. I try to take care of myself whatever ways I can, and my emotional health, because I'm so much of giver and giver. And then there are people who walk into my life and say like, "Okay, we need to take care of you." So it's happening, but it's not easy. And as a mom, feel always a pushback from the professionals, from the doctors, even from the business communities, where
mm-hmm.
oh, you're still a mom. It looks like driven by mom. It looks like a mom is telling this and that and that. But I say, like, well, it looks like, because I am so invested into this.
Yeah, I mean, think about what an expert you've become at so many different,
Yeah.
right? Because when you're forced to, because you do the research, that's one of the things that led me to doing this podcast. I'm like, I know a lot of stuff now, like after
Yeah.
years and years of being immersed in it and working with different
It's
healthcare
the
professionals.
unconditional love. Like today I have I can, anytime I can walk into my IT field and earn and work for a giant company, and the company CEO won't even know me or know my name, and that's going to make me more, oh, just for money, it's for bread butter,
Right.
but the happiness I get here when I do stuff here, when I work here in my center, it's very therapeutic for me,
Oh, it's
because
got to
now
be
I'm
so
taking all that
rewarding.
experience and applying it on all these kids. And and parents look for hope, and they can't argue with me, because look, I was in the same state what you were, and it was not easy, but this is what we did, and this is why we are coming along a far way.
They look for hope and they're looking for results, right? Because unfortunately, there's a lot of hope that's kind of sold along the way that, doesn't always come through, right?
I tell them, your unconditional love is here at this peak, but your intensity of action is here. Intensity of action also has to be here. They both have to match. Just having love and intensity of that action is not happening. You have to work hard. You have to,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, that's a great segue because we're going to go into our segments here, the first one's going to be our tip of the week. And so let's go ahead and cue up our little jingle for that.
Hey, parents, gather around, it's time to speak. We're here with your tip of the week. Strategies and wisdom just for you. Autism parents, we know what you go through.
All right. Like I said, it's time for our tip of the week. And I'm going to give you first dibs. I think I gave you a heads up. Manisha, do you have a tip of the week for our viewers and listeners out there that you'd want to share?
Do not give up. Sit down with yourself and uh, bring the picture, visualize what you want your child to be, and have a realistic goal, and have an unconditional love with the intensity of the love and intensity of hard work, and tell yourself you got this, and get that, but do not give up. It's
Yeah.
not easy, but it's possible.
That's great. And you also kind of preceded our segment with a tip by telling, like actions have to match
Action
the
has to match.
they have to match the
The
level of
intensity
love.
intensity of love and the intensity of action have to match. You just cannot visualize my child is going to sit and write and draw and sing, but don't work towards it.
Yeah. Yeah. My tip of the week was talking about micro movements, which was inspired by Dr. Torrey's
Yes.
research, and talking about how you can really look at micro movements to try to find moments of calm, joy, frustration. That you can film short clips of your child's face during these different moments,
Yes.
and working with therapists and tech tools to learn what they mean. And again, I think it's another great way to connect with, learn more about your child. And again, something I wish I would have known, 10, 15 years ago, or that I wish it was around at that time.
Yeah, so what we did is we applied for, there was a grant. This grant opportunity came to me 3 times. And I had like, I don't know. So finally I decided to look into it. And then, so whom should I connect to? So I connected Dr. Torres and she happily agreed. And the Dr. Torres lab and our foundation, we applied for a New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce grant, like a research fellowship innovation grant. So
Okay.
we're going to take our entire neurosensory program and they're going to take their sensors and we are going to see before and after what happens when a child just walks in, what is the noise on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Now the child goes through therapy, what is the heart sensor telling, what is the noise setting, and all the modalities which we use at our center, they are going to collect the data. So I'm very excited about it.
It's really interesting and can't wait. We're going to have Dr. Torres back, actually. I just exchanging emails with her today, later, about a month, end of July, right around motor morphosis. And she's going to talk about, hopefully have some of those results and talk about some of these other areas. So I'm thrilled that you guys are working together and addressing these areas, because this is really important information to get out there. Okay, so a huge thank you to Manisha and the team of the Sensory Pathway Center for showing us what it looks like when innovation is guided by love, when science and humanity walk hand in hand. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message of possibility. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and stay tuned to the lighter side of the spectrum. Thank you again, Manisha.
Thank you so much, David.